It is funny how a single lie can spiral into something you never asked for, and yet everything you secretly needed. I never planned to fall for him, hell, I never even planned to talk to him beyond the occasional nod in the hallway. But here I am, staring at my doctor neighbor as he leans against my counter, brewing coffee like he belongs here, smiling at me like we share a lifetime. This wasn't supposed to be real. It was supposed to be a favor. His name is Ethan Blake, the kind of man people stop and notice, tall, broad-shouldered, the kind of presence that fills up a room even if he doesn't say a word. He is a cardiologist at St. Mary's Hospital, the kind of neighbor you don't bother because you assume his life is too important, too busy. And then there's me, Daniel Rivers, a graphic designer who spends more time arguing with deadlines than people. The only thing we had in common was a thin wall and the occasional polite smile in the elevator. Until the night I knocked on his door with the dumbest request of my life. See, my ex-let's call him Tyler was the type of man who thought he owned every room he entered. He was charming in the way that makes your stomach twist but cruel in the way that makes your heart shrink. We broke up months ago, but like a ghost, he kept finding ways to haunt me, text messages, surprise visits, those sly little reminders that he still believed he had a hold on me. When my sister invited me to her engagement dinner and I knew Tyler would be there, I panicked. And panic makes you do stupid things, like asking your neighbor, the impossibly handsome, maddeningly polite Doctordo, pretend to be your boyfriend for one night. I expected him to laugh, maybe close the door politely. Instead, Ethan looked at me for a long moment, those sharp brown eyes searching my face like he was taking my pulse without touching me. Then, to my absolute shock, he nodded. "All right," he said simply. And that is how I ended up walking into that dinner with Ethan's hand resting at the small of my back, his presence steady and grounding. I thought we'd fake a few smiles, play our parts, and go back to being strangers separated by drywall. But something happened that night. The way he leaned close and whispered jokes to make me laugh when Tyler glared at us. The way he defended me gently but firmly when my ex tried to belittle me in front of my family. The way his hand lingered on mine a second too long, like maybe he wasn't acting at all. Now, a week later, he is in my kitchen, in my life, making coffee like it's the most natural thing in the world. "You take it with cream, right?" he asks, holding up the mug. His voice is low, steady, carrying the kind of calm that feels like safety. I blink at him, still half asleep, still trying to process how the universe twisted my lie into this surreal reality. "You hear?" I mumble, rubbing the back of my neck. He smiles, small, quiet, but it hits me like a punch. Because Ethan Blake doesn't smile easily. I've seen him in the elevator, in the parking lot, expression composed, professional, untouchable. But here, in my kitchen, at 6 in the morning, he looks different. Softer. Like this is exactly where he wants to be. And suddenly, I don't know how to breathe. The truth is, I didn't want to need him. I didn't want to open myself up to another man who could break me. I told myself this was just a game, a temporary shield against Tyler's poison. But Ethan makes the walls I built around myself feel paper thin. Maybe that is why, when my phone buzzes on the counter and Tyler's name lights up the screen, my chest tightens. I don't move to answer, but Ethan notices. His eyes flick down, then up to me, calm but serious. "You don't have to deal with that alone," he says, his voice almost a whisper. My throat feels dry. "It's complicated." Complicated doesn't mean impossible. His hand brushes mine as he sets the mug down in front of me, and it's such a small touch, barely there. But it feels like a lifeline. I laugh, but it comes out broken. "You say that like you actually care." Ethan doesn't flinch. He doesn't joke. He just looks at me, steady, unwavering. "I do." And just like that, the air shifts. The joke of our fake relationship feels less like a joke and more like something fragile, something dangerous, something real. The first time I saw Ethan cry was 3 nights later. It was past midnight and I was awake because sleep and I have never been close friends. I heard movement through the thin wall, something sharp, restless. Against my better judgment, I found myself knocking on his door. He answered in sweatpants and a t-shirt, his hair a mess, his eyes tired. "Sorry?" I muttered, suddenly self-conscious. "I just heard something. Thought maybe before I could finish, he stepped aside, letting me in. His apartment was the mirror of mine, but neater, cleaner, except for the medical textbooks scattered across the table. He sat down heavily on the couch, running a hand over his face. And then, to my shock, his eyes welled up. "I lost a patient today," he whispered, voice cracking. "A kid. And I can't stop seeing his mother's face." I froze. I didn't know what to say, how to fix something like that. But my body moved before my brain did. I sat beside him, close enough for our shoulders to touch. I didn't speak. I didn't offer empty comfort. I just sat there, breathing with him, grounding him the way he had done for me. When he finally leaned his head against my shoulder, something inside me shifted. Because for the first time, I realized Ethan wasn't just the man who saved me from my ex. He wasn't just the perfect neighbor with the perfect smile. He was human, fragile, hurting, and he let me see that part of him. And God help me, I wanted to be the one who stayed. I should have known peace never lasts. Tyler wasn't the type to lose gracefully. If anything, me showing up to that dinner with Ethan had only fueled his obsession. For a few days, I convinced myself it was over. But then came the phone calls, the unannounced visits, the voice at my door late at night reminding me of everything I wanted to forget. Ethan told me I wasn't alone, but the truth is I was terrified. Not just of Tyler, but of myself. Terrified of how much I wanted Ethan to be real, how much I wanted his touch, his voice, his presence. Terrified of falling again. The breaking point came on a Friday night. I was leaving the office late, walking toward the dimly lit parking lot, when Tyler appeared out of the shadows. His smile was all sharp edges. "So," he drawled, blocking my path. "You and the good doctor, huh? Cute. Didn't think you'd stoop to begging your neighbor just to make me jealous." His words cut, but not as much as his hand on my arm. I froze, panic shooting through me. And then, before I could speak, a familiar voice cut through the night. "Let go of him, Ethan." He was standing a few feet away, still in his hospital scrubs, eyes blazing with a fury I had never seen before. Tyler scoffed, but Ethan stepped closer, his body between us, his presence unshakable. "You heard me," Ethan said, voice low but commanding. "Let him go." For a moment I thought Tyler would push back, but something in Ethan's stare made him release me. Tyler muttered something cruel and stormed off, but I barely heard it. My world had narrowed to the man in front of me. Ethan turned, his eyes softening the second they landed on me. "Are you okay?" That question broke me. The fear, the shame, the exhaustion, I couldn't hold it anymore. My voice cracked as I whispered, "Why are you doing this? Why do you care?" His answer was simple, honest. "Because I love you." The words hung between us like a thunderclap. For a long moment, neither of us moved. My chest tightened, my mind racing. Love? How could he love me when this all started as a lie? How could I let myself believe it? But when Ethan reached out, gently cupping my face in his hand, all the doubts fell quiet. His thumb brushed my cheek, steady and tender, and I saw the truth in his eyes. This wasn't pity. This wasn't duty. This was him, choosing me. I didn't think. I just moved. My lips met his, desperate, trembling, but real. The world faded, the parking lot, the night, the ghosts of my past, and all that existed was Ethan. His warmth, his strength, his breath against mine. When we finally pulled apart, he rested his forehead against mine. "You don't have to pretend anymore," he whispered. "Not with me." And for the first time in years, I believed it. The days that followed weren't perfect. Tyler didn't vanish overnight, but with Ethan by my side, his power over me dwindled. My sister, who had always seen through my excuses, hugged me and said, "You look lighter." And she was right. But the biggest change was at home. Mornings became rituals. Ethan making coffee, me pretending not to watch him as he moved around my kitchen like he belonged there. Evenings became sanctuaries, sharing takeout on the couch, trading stories about our days, sometimes in laughter, sometimes in silence that felt just as intimate. One night, he admitted, I didn't say yes to your crazy request because I wanted to help a neighbor. I said yes because I'd been waiting for an excuse to be close to you. I laughed, a little breathless, a little overwhelmed. Guess we're both liars then. But the truth is, what we had was no longer pretend. It was fragile, yes, but it was ours. The real test came when Ethan was called into an emergency surgery on my birthday. He promised he would try to make it, but I told him not to worry. Still, I couldn't stop the old insecurities from creeping in. Maybe I was asking too much. Maybe I didn't deserve someone like him. I was blowing out a single candle on a store-bought cupcake when the knock came. There he was, exhausted, still in scrubs, holding a small paper bag. "Didn't want to miss this," he said softly. Inside the bag was a slice of my favorite cake from the bakery across town. He must have gone out of his way after a 14-hour shift. I felt tears sting my eyes as he set it down and pulled me into his arms. "Happy birthday, Daniel," he whispered. In that moment, I realized love isn't about grand gestures. It's about the quiet choices, the small sacrifices, the everyday ways someone says, "I see you. I choose you." Months later, Tyler was nothing more than a name that no longer carried weight. My scars didn't vanish, but they healed in the warmth of something real. And one ordinary morning, as sunlight spilled into the kitchen, I found myself smiling at the sight of Ethan brewing coffee. It struck me then the story hadn't started with love. It started with fear, with lies, with desperation. But love had found its way in, quiet and steady, until it became impossible to ignore. Ethan turned, catching me staring. "What?" he asked with that rare, soft smile that was only mine. "Nothing," I said, stepping closer, sliding my arms around him. I think I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." And when he kissed me, slow and certain, I knew this wasn't just a happy ending. This was a beginning. The kind you don't fake. The kind you fight for. The kind that makes all the pain worth it. That morning, as we sat together, sipping coffee in the golden light, I realized something simple yet profound. Love doesn't always come when you want it or how you expect it. Sometimes it arrives in the shape of a neighbor, with tired eyes and a steady hand, brewing coffee in your kitchen as though it's the most natural thing in the world. And sometimes, against all odds, that love is enough. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.